Thank you for joining us around the fire. For more information or to make a donation, please visit randomactsnetwork.com. Now, want to hear a scary story? It was the Robinsons' first Christmas in the new house, and the girls were more excited about the holiday than ever. They'd picked the biggest tree they could find, and festive decorations covered nearly every inch of the house. James and Brandon were looking forward to spoiling their daughters with dozens of gifts. The most exciting part? They were planning to catch Santa in the act. They sat the girls down and explained that they'd aim their nanny cam towards the tree on Christmas Eve to try and catch Santa Claus delivering presents. Brandon was planning to dress up and eat the cookies and really put on a show for the kids. He had been a theater major after all before his days at the office. Christmas Eve came, and Christy and Ashley excitedly placed the cookies they had baked for Santa onto the snowflake plate. They were practically begging to go to sleep well before their bedtime, so eager to reach Christmas morning.
We can't forget the milk.
Ashley had come into the living room with a pint of oat milk.
Will that kind work?
Santa won't even know the difference. In fact, his tummy will probably thank us.
Brandon balanced the reindeer mug for Ashley as she cautiously filled it. She set it down on the end table near the tree next to the plate of cookies.
It's gonna be the best Christmas ever, but only if you get a good night's sleep.
And promise to stay in bed.
The girls were tucked in, and Brandon and James headed to the bedroom to finish wrapping gifts. They had really gone all out this year, so they needed every last minute of alone time to prepare for Christmas morning. Finally, they loaded up the big red bag they bought online, and Brandon got into costume. It was time for his big act. James watched from the hallway so he wouldn't be on camera as Brandon tiptoed into the room. He unloaded gift after gift until the tree was totally surrounded with presents, and stopped to eat a cookie and drink some milk before taking his bag and leaving. It was well past 2 a.m. and James followed Brandon in costume back to the bedroom and shut the door.
Let me help you with your sack.
They got into bed together and eventually went to sleep. Christmas morning came, and of course the girls woke up first. They weren't allowed to open gifts without their dads, but they couldn't wait to watch the footage and see Santa for real. As James entered the living room yawning, he heard them giggling and watching the video. He was the last one up. Brandon brought him a cup of coffee, planting a warm kiss on his cheek.
Honey, it worked.
Huh?
We got Santa on video.
No way.
And we have so many presents.
Way too many presents.
And there's even more downstairs.
Who told you there were more presents in the basement, silly?
Nobody told us. We saw his helper bring more presents in.
You saw? What are you talking about?
There's even more presents in the basement. We were so good this year. They ran out of room by the tree.
Brandon nearly ripped the iPad out of Christy's hands.
We got so many presents.
What was she talking about? He tried to rewind the video, but the tablet was nearly dead. He handed it to James, who took it into the office in a rush. It only took a minute to load the footage, but James was frozen with anxiety. Finally, it loaded. He clicked through, estimating the timing. There were a few hours of nothing after the girls went to bed. And then, at 1:32 a.m., Brandon enters the camera dressed as Santa. In the grainy footage, he looks really convincing. He delivers the presents, eats the cookies, and leaves. But a few minutes later, someone else entered the screen. A shorter, thin stranger bundled up in wintered clothes tiptoed into the room, eyeing the gifts. He had a long, scraggly white beard that matched the hair spilling out from under his winter cap. In the shadows, he had almost no facial features other than the point of his thin nose. Over his shoulder was what looked like a garbage bag. He stood there in the center of the room for several moments before stepping forward and removing a cookie from the plate. He sniffed it with a strange curiosity and then took a bite. He put the rest of the cookie back down on the plate.
Brandon!
He rushed into the room as James rewound the footage to show him what he had just witnessed. He hoped to God that he was just seeing things, but Brandon clasped his hands over his mouth at a total loss for words.
Who the fuck is that?
I think he came in through the laundry room. James, we never fixed that lock.
He was trembling.
James, fast forward the footage.
He did, without question, skimming quickly as the sun came up and the girls entered the living room excitedly in their Christmas pajamas. Ashley fetched the iPad to play the video while Christy helped herself to the rest of the cookie that the stranger had bitten. And then it hit them.
James, we never saw him leave.
The fathers panicked, rushing back into the living room. They didn't have a plan, they just wanted to get the girls out of the house. But as they rounded the corner, it was already too late. The girls had gone down into the basement.
Santa Cam, written by Brian Renaud, told by Shannon Lee Weber, featuring Aaron Holland, Ashlyn Seehafer, Brian Renaud, and Shannon Lee Weber.